Human males are so milky! Alien girl's surprised reaction to human nectar. Tyloth Station's promenade buzzed with activity as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in vivid streaks of purple and green. The vibrant hues danced across the sleek metal surfaces of the spaceport, casting an ethereal glow over the diverse crowd of intergalactic travelers. Amidst the bustle of the evening rush, two striking humanoid women with shimmering cerulean skin strolled arm in arm, their melodic laughter ringing out above the din of chatter and whirring machinery. Vera, the taller of the pair, tossed her long, silvery hair over her shoulder with a playful flourish, her slender fingers adorned with glittering rings that caught the light of the station's artificial sun. "I'm telling you, Nixia," she leaned in close, her voice lowered to a conspiratorial whisper. "You won't believe what I heard about human males." "Ooh, do tell." Nixia's emerald eyes sparkled with curiosity as she clung to her friend's arm, her own azure locks cascading down her back in a waterfall of shimmering curls. "You know, I've always been fascinated by those strange bipedal creatures. They're so exotic," Vera grinned, her full lips curving into a mischievous smile. "Well, a little Tyloth told me that human men can produce nectar multiple times per day. Can you imagine?" She waggled her eyebrows suggestively, eliciting a gasp from her companion. "No, truly?" Nixia's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes widening in shock. "The males of our species can only give nectar once per solar cycle. Human men must be so potent." A delicate blush crept across her cobalt cheeks as her mind raced with the implications. "That's not even the most intriguing part," Vera continued, her voice dripping with intrigue. "Apparently, some establishments even serve drinks infused with this human male nectar. They say it's quite the delicacy, sought after by pleasure seekers across the galaxy." Nixia fanned herself with a slender hand, feeling a sudden flush spreading through her body. "My stars, we absolutely must try one of these nectar beverages while we're here on the station. For scientific curiosity, of course." She winked, her tone laced with barely contained excitement. "I like the way you think, my dear." Vera laughed, giving her friend's arm a gentle squeeze. "And I know just the place." With a purposeful stride, Vera guided them through the throng of travelers, her keen eyes scanning the storefronts and hollow signs that lined the promenade. After a few moments, she steered them towards a small, unassuming bar tucked between a quantum engine repair shop and a tentacle grooming salon. A flickering hollow sign above the entrance read, "The Milky Way, purveyors of fine human nectars." As they approached the entrance, the door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the bar's dimly lit interior. The space was cozy and intimate, with plush booths lining the walls and a long chrome bar dominating the center of the room. The air was heavy with the mingled scents of exotic spices, intoxicating liquors, and a faint musky undertone that seemed to promise untold pleasures. Vera and Nixia sauntered inside, their hips swaying in unison as they made their way to the bar. They slid onto two vacant stools, the supple leather molding to their curves as they settled in. Nixia's eyes roamed over the eclectic mix of patrons scattered throughout the establishment. Insectoid Zurks traders with their iridescent carapaces, gelatinous Blabonians undulating gently in their seats, and even a few off-duty Terran cargo haulers, their rugged features and muscular frames standing out amidst the alien crowd. As they took in their surroundings, a handsome Tylothian bartender with piercing amber eyes and a chiseled jawline approached them, a dazzling smile playing across his lips. "Welcome to the Milky Way, ladies," he purred, his rich baritone sending a shiver down their spines. "I'm Zane. What can I get for you tonight?" Vera leaned forward, resting her elbows on the bar top to showcase her ample azure cleavage. "We hear you serve a specialty drink made with human male nectar," she cooed, batting her long silver lashes. "We're simply dying to try it." Zane's smile widened, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Ah, you must be referring to our signature Terran tonic. It's our most popular beverage, a tantalizing blend of aged human nectar, Tylothian whiskey, and a dash of stardust. I think you'll find it quite stimulating." He winked, his gaze lingering on the two beautiful women before him. Nixia giggled, her cheeks flushing an even deeper shade of blue as she felt the bartender's eyes roaming over her curves. "2 Terran tonics then, please," she chirped, her voice tinged with excitement. "We're ready to boldly go where no Tylothian women have gone before." Zane chuckled, his deep laughter sending a pleasant tingle down their spines. Coming right up, ladies. Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable experience. As Zane set to work mixing their drinks, Vera turned to Nixia, a mischievous glint dancing in her silver eyes. You know, she mused, tracing a slender finger along the bar top, after we sample this nectar elixir, we really ought to find ourselves a human man to experience the real thing straight from the source. Nixia grinned, her emerald eyes alight with anticipation. Now that sounds like an adventure, she agreed, leaning in closer to her friend. I've always wondered what other hidden talents these milky human males might possess. We could make first contact for the good of interspecies relations, of course. She trailed off, her voice heavy with unspoken promise. Just then, Zane returned, setting 2 shimmering crystal glasses before them. The drinks within seemed to swirl with an opalescent liquid that captured the light, tiny flecks of stardust dancing within their depths. The women each took a glass, bringing it to their lips and inhaling the intoxicating aroma. With a shared glance and a nod, they tipped the glasses back, allowing the Terran tonic to flow over their tongues. The flavor was unlike anything they had ever experienced, sweet and slightly salty, with a warm tingle that spread through their bodies like liquid fire. They savored each sip, their eyes fluttering closed as they lost themselves in the sensations. By the 7 moons, Vera exclaimed, her silver eyes snapping open as the last of the nectar elixir slid down her throat. If this is just a hint of what human nectar can do, we absolutely must find ourselves a prime human specimen to investigate further. As if on cue, the bar door swished open and a tall, muscular human male strode in, his rugged features and confident bearing immediately commanding the room. He had close-cropped dark hair, piercing blue eyes, and the chiseled physique of a warrior. His presence seemed to fill the space, drawing the attention of every patron in the establishment. Vera and Nixia exchanged a meaningful glance, twin smiles spreading across their faces as they watched the human settle onto a stool further down the bar. Target acquired, Nixia purred, dragging her finger along the rim of her empty glass. I think our scientific expedition to uncover the secrets of human males is about to begin. Vera and Nixia watched with rapt attention as the ruggedly handsome human male settled onto a stool at the far end of the bar. His presence seemed to command the room, an aura of confidence and strength emanating from his chiseled features and muscular frame. The Tylothian women exchanged a knowing glance, their eyes sparkling with mischief and anticipation. Well, 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 Vera purred, her silver eyes roaming appreciatively over the human's form. It seems the universe has delivered quite the specimen for our little scientific expedition. Nixia grinned, her emerald eyes alight with excitement. Indeed, and as the foremost experts on interspecies relations, it's practically our duty to initiate first contact, wouldn't you say? Absolutely, my dear, Vera agreed, a wicked smile playing across her full lips. For the sake of diplomacy and cultural exchange, of course. The 2 women slid gracefully from their stools, their hips swaying in tandem as they sauntered towards the unsuspecting human. As they drew closer, they could make out more details of his rugged features, the strong line of his jaw, the glint of intelligence in his piercing blue eyes, and the faint scars that hinted at a life of adventure and danger. Vera cleared her throat, drawing the human's attention as they sidled up to him. Well, hello there, she purred, her voice like honey and silk. I don't believe we've had the pleasure of making your acquaintance. I'm Vera, and this is my lovely companion, Nixia. The human turned to face them, his eyes widening slightly as he took in their exotic beauty. A slow, appreciative smile spread across his chiseled features. Captain Rick Hunt, at your service, he replied, his deep, rumbling voice sending a delightful shiver down their spines. And the pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Nixia giggled, her cheeks flushing a deeper shade of blue as she felt the weight of Rick's gaze upon her. A captain, you say? How thrilling! You must have so many fascinating stories to share. Indeed I do, Rick chuckled, his eyes sparkling with mirth. But I have a feeling that you 2 lovely ladies might have some intriguing tales of your own to tell. Vera leaned in closer, her ample cleavage brushing against Rick's arm as she fixed him with a smoldering gaze. Oh, you have no idea, Captain, she murmured, her breath hot against his ear. In fact, Nixia and I were just discussing a most fascinating bit of human physiology that we'd love to learn more about. Rick's eyebrows shot up, intrigue and amusement dancing in his piercing blue eyes. Is that so? Well, far be it from me to deny such lovely ladies the opportunity to expand their knowledge. What exactly did you have in mind? Nixia's emerald eyes sparkled with mischief as she traced a slender finger along Rick's muscular forearm. We've heard the most delicious rumors about the, shall we say, milky nature of human males, she purred, her voice dripping with innuendo. And as scientists of sorts, we simply couldn't resist the opportunity to investigate further. Rick's deep, rumbling laughter filled the air, turning heads throughout the bar. Well, far be it from me to stand in the way of scientific progress, he quipped, his gaze roaming appreciatively over their curves. I suppose I could be persuaded to assist in your research for the sake of interspecies cooperation, of course. Vera grinned, triumph and desire flashing in her silver eyes. Excellent! We were hoping you'd say that, Captain. In fact, Nixie and I have a proposition for you. She leaned in closer, her lips brushing against Rick's ear as she whispered her daring request. Nixia watched with bated breath, her heart pounding in her chest as she saw Rick's eyes widen, a mix of surprise and excitement playing across his chiseled features. You want to taste my nectar? Live and in person? Rick asked, his voice tinged with disbelief and intrigue. Right here, right now? Precisely, Vera purred, her silver eyes alight with desire. Think of the intimate knowledge we could gain, the boundaries we could push, all in the name of scientific discovery, of course. Rick's gaze darkened, desire and anticipation smoldering in their depths. How could I possibly refuse such a tantalizing offer? He murmured, his voice low and husky. Sharing my essence with two beautiful, brilliant women, it's the stuff dreams are made of. Nixius clapped her hands in delight, bouncing on the balls of her feet as excitement coursed through her veins. Oh, this is going to be so much fun, she exclaimed, her emerald eyes sparkling with joy. Just imagine the sensations we'll experience, the intimate discoveries we'll make. Rick grinned, his eyes roaming over their curves with undisguised appreciation. I have a feeling this encounter is going to be unlike anything I've ever experienced before, he mused, his voice heavy with promise. So how do you want to do this? Vera smiled, a wicked gleam in her silver eyes. Well, Captain, we could start with a little taste right here at the bar, and then perhaps adjourn to a more private location for a more in-depth exploration. Or, Nixia chimed in, her emerald eyes sparkling with mischief, we could offer you a trade. A taste of your nectar in exchange for a taste of our own unique flavors, a mutual exchange of intimate knowledge, if you will. Rick's eyebrows shot up, intrigue and desire warring on his chiseled features. A tempting proposition indeed, he murmured, his gaze roaming over their exotic curves. I must admit, I'm curious to discover what delights two gorgeous Tylothian women might have to offer. Vera leaned in closer, her ample cleavage brushing against Rick's arm as she fixed him with a smoldering gaze. Oh, Captain, you have no idea, she purred, her breath hot against his ear. The pleasures we could introduce you to, the heights of ecstasy we could reach together. Rick's breath caught in his throat, his heart pounding with anticipation. Well then, he managed, his voice rough with desire, lead the way, my beautiful explorers, to new frontiers of intimate discovery. Vera and Nixia giggled, their hearts racing with excitement and desire as they led their handsome human companion out of the bar and towards a secluded alcove. The promise of forbidden pleasures, mutual exploration, and the tantalizing secrets of human male physiology beckoned to them, an irresistible siren's call. As they slipped into the shadows, the Tylothian women couldn't help but exchange a knowing glance, their eyes sparkling with mischief and anticipation. They knew that this encounter would push the boundaries of scientific discovery in more ways than one, and they couldn't wait to unravel the delicious mysteries that awaited them in the depths of passion. With a soft moan and a whispered promise, their bodies came together in a tangle of limbs and desires, carrying the intrepid trio towards a future filled with pleasure, intimacy, and the tantalizing promise of forbidden knowledge. The galaxy would never be the same. As Vera, Nixia, and Rick slipped into the secluded alcove, their hearts pounding with anticipation and desire, the air around them seemed to crackle with electricity. The Tylothian women's hands roamed over Rick's muscular form, their slender fingers tracing the hard planes of his chest and the chiseled lines of his abs. Rick's own hands were far from idle, his calloused palms gliding over the smooth azure skin of his exotic companions, marveling at the softness and warmth of their curves. Vera's lips found Rick's in a searing kiss, her tongue darting out to taste the intoxicating flavor of his mouth. Rick groaned, his body responding to her touch with a fierce primal need. Nyxia pressed herself against his back, her ample breasts cushioning his broad shoulders as her slender hands slid down his torso, teasing the waistband of his pants. "Oh, Captain," Vera purred, her voice husky with desire. "I can't wait to taste your nectar, to feel it flowing over my tongue and down my throat." Rick shuddered, his eyes darkening with lust as he imagined the exquisite sensations that awaited him. "And I can't wait to sample your own unique flavors," he murmured, his hands cupping the perfect globes of Vera's rear. "To explore every inch of your beautiful bodies and discover the secrets of your pleasure." Nyxia giggled, her emerald eyes sparkling with mischief as she nipped at Rick's earlobe. I have a feeling this is going to be a night we'll never forget," she whispered, her breath hot against his skin. "A journey of intimate discovery that will push the boundaries of our knowledge and our desires." Just as the trio was about to lose themselves in the depths of passion, a sudden commotion from the main bar area shattered the intimate atmosphere. Raucous laughter and the sound of shattering glass echoed through the air, followed by a series of angry shouts and the unmistakable thud of flesh meeting flesh. Vera and Nyxia exchanged a startled glance, their eyes wide with surprise and a hint of frustration. Rick groaned, his head falling back against the wall as he tried to regain control of his raging desire. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered, his voice rough with barely contained need. "Of all the times for a bar brawl to break out?" Vera sighed, her silver eyes flashing with annoyance, as she reluctantly disentangled herself from Rick's embrace. "We should probably go see what's happening," she murmured, her tone laced with disappointment. "As much as I hate to interrupt our little exploration," Nyxia pouted, her full lips forming an adorable moue of frustration. "But we were just getting to the good part," she whined, her slender fingers still tracing tantalizing patterns over Rick's chest. "Can't we just ignore it and continue where we left off?" Rick chuckled, his eyes softening with affection as he gazed at his beautiful companions. "As tempting as that is, my dear, I have a feeling we'd be too distracted to fully enjoy ourselves with all that noise going on. Besides, as a captain, I have a certain responsibility to maintain order and ensure the safety of those around me." Vera nodded, a rueful smile playing across her lips. "Ever the noble hero, aren't you, Captain?" she teased, her silver eyes sparkling with admiration. "I suppose we can't fault you for that, but you'd better believe we're going to pick up right where we left off as soon as this little interruption is dealt with." "Oh, absolutely," Rick agreed, his voice low and filled with promise. "I have no intention of leaving you lovely ladies unsatisfied. We have a journey of intimate discovery to complete, after all." With a final lingering caress and a shared look of anticipation, the trio reluctantly emerged from the alcove and made their way back to the main bar area. The scene that greeted them was one of utter chaos. Overturned tables, shattered glasses, and a group of rowdy patrons engaged in a full-on brawl. Species from all corners of the galaxy were throwing punches, grappling with each other, and generally causing mayhem. Rick's eyes narrowed, his body tensing as he assessed the situation. "Stay close to me," he murmured to Vera and Nyxia, his voice low and filled with concern. "I don't want either of you getting caught in the crossfire." The Tylothian women nodded, their own bodies poised and ready for action. They might have been scientists and explorers, but they were far from helpless. As they watched Rick wade into the fray, his powerful form moving with a fluid grace, as he deftly dodged blows and delivered precise strikes of his own, they couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement and admiration. Look at him go," Vera purred, her silver eyes following Rick's every move with rapt attention. "Is it wrong that I find his display of raw masculine power incredibly arousing?" Nyxia giggled, her emerald eyes sparkling with mirth and desire. "Not at all, my dear. In fact, I think it just adds to the anticipation of what's to come. Imagine all that strength and skill focused solely on our pleasure." The two women shared a heated glance, their bodies trembling with barely contained need as they watched Rick subdue the last of the brawlers with a final decisive blow. The human captain stood tall amidst the wreckage of the bar, his chest heaving and a thin sheen of sweat glistening on his brow. He turned to face Vera and Nixia, his piercing blue eyes smoldering with a mixture of triumph and desire. "Now then," he murmured, his voice low and filled with promise. "Where were we?" Vera and Nixia grinned, their hearts pounding with excitement as they sashayed toward their human companion. "I believe we were about to embark on a journey of intimate discovery," Vera purred, her silver eyes raking over Rick's muscular form with undisguised hunger. "A mutual exchange of pleasure and knowledge that will push the boundaries of our understanding." Rick's lips curved into a wicked smile, his hands reaching out to pull the Tylothian women flush against his body. "Ah yes, how could I forget?" he murmured, his breath hot against their skin. "Lead the way, my beautiful explorers. I'm more than ready to taste the secrets of your desire." With a soft moan and a shared look of anticipation, Vera and Nixia led Rick back to the secluded alcove, their bodies thrumming with the promise of forbidden pleasures and intimate discoveries. As they slipped into the shadows once more, the chaos of the bar faded away, replaced by the intoxicating rhythm of their racing hearts and the whispered promises of ecstasy. In the depths of passion, the trio lost themselves in a tangle of limbs and desires, their bodies moving together in a sensual dance of give and take. Rick's nectar flowed freely, a sweet and heady ambrosia that left Vera and Nixia drunk on pleasure and craving more. In turn, the Tylothian women shared their own unique flavors, their essences mingling with Rick's in a delicious cocktail of lust and intimacy. As they explored each other's bodies and desires, pushing the boundaries of their knowledge and their passion, Vera, Nixia, and Rick forged a bond that went beyond mere physical pleasure. They had embarked on a journey of discovery together, one that would forever change the way they viewed themselves, each other, and the infinite possibilities of the universe. With each shuddering gasp and whispered endearment, they etched their names in the stars, their bodies and souls intertwined in a celestial dance of love and desire. The galaxy would never be the same, for they had tasted the nectar of the gods and found it sweeter than any ambrosia imaginable. And as they lay in each other's arms, basking in the afterglow of their cosmic union, Vera, Nixia, and Rick knew that this was only the beginning. The universe was vast and filled with endless wonders, and they were determined to explore them all together. As the trio basked in the afterglow of their intimate encounter, whispers of Rick's Milky talents began to spread throughout Tyloth Station like wildfire. It seemed that the human captain's unique abilities had captured the attention and imagination of every curious alien female on board, much to Vera and Nixia's growing consternation. At first, the Tylothian women found the attention amusing, even flattering. After all, they had been the ones to discover and lay claim to Rick's delectable nectar, and they took a certain pride in being the envy of their fellow female passengers. However, as the whispers turned to bold advances and outright propositions, Vera and Nixia realized that they had a fight on their hands if they wanted to maintain their exclusive access to the human's tantalizing essence. "Can you believe the nerve of that Orion vixen?" Vera huffed, her silver eyes flashing with indignation, as she watched a curvaceous, green-skinned beauty sashay up to Rick at the bar, her hips swaying provocatively. "She's practically throwing herself at him, and right in front of us, no less." Nixia frowned, her emerald eyes narrowing as she observed the shameless display. "And what about that Andorian minx? She's been eyeing Rick like he's a tall glass of Romulan ale, and we all know how thirsty those blue-skinned beauties can be." Vera's lips curled into a determined smile, her mind already racing with ideas on how to outmaneuver their would-be rivals. "Well, my dear, if it's a competition they want, then it's a competition they shall have. We'll just have to employ every trick in the book to keep Rick's attentions focused solely on us." And so the great Milky competition began, with Vera and Nixia pulling out all the stops to ensure that Rick's eyes, hands, and nectar remained firmly in their possession. They started with subtle tactics, like always ensuring that they were seated on either side of the human captain during meals, their slender thighs pressing against his in a silent but unmistakable claim of ownership. They also made a point of engaging Rick in lively conversations, their quick wits and flirtatious banter keeping him thoroughly entertained and leaving little room for interlopers to wedge their way in. When a particularly bold Deltan female attempted to join their table, Vera smoothly intercepted her with a tray of exotic desserts, insisting that Rick simply must try the Tylothian delicacies before they melted. The Deltan beauty found herself unceremoniously redirected to a far corner of the dining hall, her advances thoroughly thwarted by Vera's culinary cunning. But as the competition heated up, so too did Vera and Nixia's tactics. They began to employ more overt displays of affection, their slender arms snaking around Rick's waist as they walked the station's promenades, their lips brushing against his ears, as they whispered sweet nothings and playful innuendos. They even went so far as to stage a mock catfight in the middle of the Tyloth Station's bustling marketplace, their lithe bodies grappling and tumbling in a display of faux aggression that left Rick wide-eyed and more than a little aroused. Of course, the Tylothian women made sure to kiss and make up in full view of their audience, their lips meeting in a searing display of passion that left no doubt as to the depth of their reconciliation. The message was clear. Rick was theirs, and they would fight tooth and nail to keep him. But perhaps their most effective tactic was the one they employed in the privacy of Rick's quarters. Each night, Vera and Nixia would take turns visiting the human captain, their slender forms slipping into his bed like sensual shadows. They would spend hours exploring his body, their skilled hands and eager mouths coaxing forth wave after wave of his delectable nectar. They would drink deeply of his essence, savoring the sweet and heady flavor that was uniquely Rick. And as they brought him to the brink of ecstasy again and again, they would whisper words of devotion and desire, their voices low and filled with promise. "You're ours, Rick," Vera would murmur, her silver eyes locked with his as she licked a stray drop of nectar from the corner of her mouth. "No other female can satisfy you the way we can. No other female deserves to taste your sweet ambrosia. We'll never let you go," Nixia would whisper, her emerald eyes shining with possessive love as she traced the hard planes of his chest with her slender fingers. "You're a part of us now, bound by the nectar that flows through your veins and the passion that burns in our hearts." And Rick, lost in a haze of pleasure and emotion, would nod his head in silent agreement, his body and soul surrendering to the exquisite claiming of his Tylothian lovers. As the days turned to weeks, Vera and Nixia's efforts began to pay off. The other alien females, sensing the depth of the Tylothian women's devotion and the futility of their own advances, gradually began to back off. They still cast longing glances in Rick's direction, their eyes filled with unspoken desire and envy, but they no longer dared to approach him directly. Vera and Nixia, flushed with victory and the heady rush of their own passions, celebrated their triumph in the way they knew best, by losing themselves in the depths of Rick's embrace, their bodies and souls entwined in a dance of love and desire. As they lay in each other's arms, basking in the afterglow of their cosmic union, Vera and Nixia couldn't help but marvel at the strange and wonderful journey that had brought them to this moment. They had set out to explore the mysteries of human male physiology, to taste the nectar that flowed so freely from Rick's body. But somewhere along the way, they had discovered something far more precious, a love that transcended species and defied the very laws of the universe. And as they gazed into Rick's eyes, seeing the same depth of emotion and devotion reflected back at them, they knew that they would never let him go. They had fought too hard, loved too fiercely, to ever surrender their claim on his heart and his nectar. "You're ours, Rick," Vera whispered, her voice low and filled with possessive love. "Now and forever." "Always," Nixia echoed, her emerald eyes shining with the promise of a future filled with passion and adventure. And Rick, his heart swelling with a love that knew no bounds, could only nod his head in silent agreement, his lips curving into a smile that spoke of endless devotion and the sweet promise of forever. Life on Tyloth Station had settled into a blissful routine for Vera, Nixia, and their beloved human captain, Rick Hunt. Their days were filled with laughter, love, and the sweet, intoxicating nectar that flowed so freely from Rick's body. They had found a harmony in each other's arms, a sense of belonging that transcended the boundaries of species and defied the very laws of the universe. But as with all things in life, their idyllic existence was not meant to last forever. Fate, it seemed, had a way of throwing unexpected challenges in their path, testing the strength of their bond and the depth of their devotion. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a sleek, silver starship docking at Tyloth Station's main hangar bay. The vessel was unmistakably Starfleet in design, its gleaming hull emblazoned with the iconic insignia that had become synonymous with the Federation's exploratory and diplomatic efforts. Vera and Nixia, who had been enjoying a leisurely breakfast with Rick in the station's bustling promenade, exchanged a curious glance as they watched the ship's arrival on the large view screen that dominated the far wall. I wonder what brings Starfleet to our little corner of the galaxy, Vera mused, her silver eyes narrowing thoughtfully as she sipped her morning cup of Tylothian tea. Rick, who had been engrossed in a datapad containing the latest reports from his own ship, the USS Titan, looked up at the screen with a startled expression. "That's not just any Starfleet vessel," he said, his voice tight with a mixture of surprise and trepidation. "That's the USS Enterprise, the flagship of the Federation." Nixia's emerald eyes widened in recognition, her heart skipping a beat as she processed the implications of Rick's words. "Isn't that the ship commanded by your former captain, Jean-Luc Picard?" she asked, her voice low and filled with concern. Rick nodded, his jaw clenching as he set down his datapad and rose from the table. "It is," he confirmed, his blue eyes darkening with a mixture of anticipation and unease. "And if the Enterprise is here, then that means..." As if on cue, the promenade's intercom system crackled to life, a crisp, authoritative voice filling the air with its clipped, precise tones. "Attention, Tyloth Station. This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise. I am requesting permission to come aboard and speak with one of your guests, a Starfleet officer by the name of Richard T. Hunt." Vera and Nixia exchanged a worried glance, their hearts sinking as they realized the potential ramifications of Picard's arrival. They had always known that their relationship with Rick was unconventional, that it defied the strict regulations and protocols that govern Starfleet's interactions with alien species. But they had never imagined that their love would be put to the test so soon, or by such a formidable figure as the legendary Jean-Luc Picard. Rick, sensing his lover's distress, reached out and took their hands in his calloused fingers intertwining with their slender, blue digits in a gesture of reassurance and support. "Don't worry," he murmured, his voice low and filled with determination. "I won't let anything come between us. Not Starfleet, not Picard, not the entire damned universe." Vera and Nixia nodded, their eyes shining with love and trust as they gazed up at their human captain. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, that they would face challenges and obstacles that would test the very foundation of their bond. But they also knew that their love was strong, that it had been forged in the fires of passion and tempered by the sweet, intoxicating nectar that flowed through Rick's veins. And so, with their heads held high and their hearts filled with courage, Vera and Nixia accompanied Rick to the station's main airlock, ready to face whatever trials and tribulations lay ahead. As the airlock doors hissed open, revealing the stern, imposing figure of Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Vera and Nixia couldn't help but feel a flicker of trepidation. The man was a legend, a living embodiment of Starfleet's highest ideals and most cherished principles. His piercing gaze seemed to cut through them like a phaser beam, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight of his former first officer standing hand in hand with two alien women. "Number one," Picard said, his voice low and filled with a mixture of surprise and disapproval. "I think we need to have a talk." Rick nodded, his jaw clenching as he stepped forward to greet his former captain. "Of course, sir," he said, his voice steady and filled with respect. "But before we do, I want you to meet Vera and Nixia, the two most remarkable women I've ever had the pleasure of knowing." Picard's eyebrows shot up in surprise, his gaze darting between Rick and the Tylothian women with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "I see," he said, his voice carefully neutral. "And what exactly is the nature of your relationship with these remarkable women?" Vera and Nixia exchanged a glance, their hearts pounding as they stepped forward to stand beside their beloved captain. "We're his lovers," Vera said, her voice clear and filled with pride. "And we're also his partners in a mission of vital importance to both our species." Picard's eyes narrowed, his brow furrowing as he processed Vera's words. "A mission," he repeated, his voice laced with suspicion. "What kind of mission?" Nixia took a deep breath, her emerald eyes shining with a mixture of determination and mischief. "A mission of cultural exchange and scientific discovery," she said, her voice low and filled with a hint of sensual promise. "You see, Captain Picard, we've discovered that human males possess a unique and, shall we say, intoxicating quality that our own species finds absolutely fascinating." Picard's eyes widened, his mouth opening and closing as he struggled to find the right words to respond. I beg your pardon," he managed, his voice strangled with a mixture of shock and embarrassment. Vera grinned, her silver eyes sparkling with amusement, as she stepped forward and placed a slender, blue hand on Picard's arm. What Nixia is trying to say, Captain, is that Rick's nectar has become something of a sensation among our people. It's a source of great pleasure and fascination, and we believe that by studying it further, we can foster a deeper understanding and appreciation between our two species. Picard blinked, his face flushing a deep shade of red as he processed Vera's words. Nectar, he repeated, his voice faint with disbelief. You mean his semen, yes, Rick said, his voice calm and filled with a hint of amusement. It's a long story, sir, but suffice it to say that Vera and Nixia have been instrumental in helping me to share this unique aspect of human physiology with the Tylothian people. Picard shook his head, his eyes closing briefly as he struggled to compose himself. Number one, he said, his voice low and filled with a mixture of exasperation and reluctant admiration. Only you could find yourself in a situation like this. Rick grinned, his blue eyes sparkling with mischief as he draped an arm around Vera and Nixia's shoulders. What can I say, sir? He quipped, his voice filled with a hint of sensual promise. I guess I just have a talent for cultural exchange. And with that, the four of them made their way deeper into the station, ready to face whatever challenges and complications lay ahead. For in the end, they knew that their love would see them through, no matter how strange or unconventional it might seem to the outside world. I can't believe this is happening, Vera whispered, her silver eyes wide with disbelief as she watched the heated debate unfold before the Tylothian Council of Elders. All we wanted was to love and be loved in return. Is that so wrong? Nixia reached out and took her lover's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. No, my darling, it's not wrong at all, she murmured, her emerald eyes shining with determination. And we're going to make sure that everyone on this station understands that, no matter what it takes. Beside them, Rick stood tall and proud, his handsome face etched with a mixture of defiance and resolve. He knew that the next few moments would be crucial in determining the fate of their unconventional relationship and the future of human-Tylothian relations. As the elders continued to argue back and forth, their voices rising in volume and intensity, Captain Picard stepped forward, his presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Esteemed members of the council, he began, his voice ringing out with the clarity and conviction of a true diplomat. I come before you today not as a Starfleet officer, but as a friend and ally to these three remarkable individuals who stand beside me. The elders fell silent, their eyes widening in surprise at the unexpected support from such a renowned figure. Picard continued, his gaze sweeping over the assembled Tylothians with a mixture of compassion and determination. I have seen firsthand the love and devotion that binds Vera, Nixia, and Rick together, he declared, his voice filled with conviction. Theirs is a bond that transcends the boundaries of species and culture, a shining example of the power of diversity and openness to bring people together in ways we never could have imagined. The elders murmured amongst themselves, some nodding in agreement, while others looked on with skepticism. Rick felt his heart swell with gratitude and affection for his former captain, marveling at the unwavering support and understanding that Picard had shown them throughout this entire ordeal. As the debate continued, Vera and Nixia clung to each other, their hearts racing with a mixture of hope and fear. They knew that the decision of the council would have far-reaching consequences, not just for their own relationship, but for the future of Tylothian society as a whole. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the head elder stepped forward, her ancient face etched with a mixture of wisdom and compassion. We have heard the arguments on both sides, she declared, her voice thin and reedy with age. And while we cannot deny the unconventional nature of this relationship, we also cannot ignore the positive impact it has had on our people. Vera and Nixia held their breath, their eyes locked on the elder's face as she continued. It is the decision of this council that the relationship between Vera, Nixia, and Rick shall be recognized and respected as a valid and legitimate union, she proclaimed, her words echoing through the chamber with a sense of finality. May their love serve as a beacon of hope and understanding for us all. The room erupted in a chorus of cheers and applause, with Vera and Nixia throwing their arms around each other in a tearful embrace. Rick pulled them both close, his own eyes glistening with emotion as he savored the incredible feeling of love and acceptance that washed over them. We did it, Nixia whispered, her emerald eyes shining with joy and relief. I can't believe we actually did it. Believe it, my love, Vera murmured, her silver eyes sparkling with mischief. And now I think it's time we celebrated our victory in the best way we know how. Rick grinned, his blue eyes darkening with desire as he caught the suggestive tone in Vera's voice. Lead the way, my darlings, he growled, his heart already racing with anticipation. As they made their way back to Rick's quarters, the three lovers could hardly keep their hands off each other, their bodies thrumming with the need to express their love and relief in the most intimate way possible. They tumbled onto the bed in a tangle of limbs and laughter, their clothes quickly discarded as they lost themselves in the sweet, intoxicating nectar of passion. I love you both so much, Rick gasped, his voice rough with emotion as he gazed down at the two beautiful Tylothian women beneath him. I never knew that love could be this incredible, this all-consuming. Neither did we, Vera whispered, her silver eyes shining with adoration as she traced the hard planes of Rick's chest with a slender finger. But now that we found it, we're never letting go. Never, Nixia agreed, her emerald eyes sparkling with mischief as she pulled Rick down for a searing kiss. You're stuck with us now, Captain, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, until the stars burn out and the universe fades away. Rick laughed, his heart swelling with love and happiness as he lost himself in the sweet, intoxicating embrace of his Tylothian lovers. He knew that the road ahead would not always be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles to overcome as they navigated the complexities of their unconventional relationship. But he also knew that he had never been happier or more fulfilled than he was at this moment, wrapped in the arms of the two most incredible women he had ever known. As they lay entwined in the afterglow of their lovemaking, their bodies sated and their hearts full, Vera and Nixia couldn't help but marvel at the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. Who would have thought that a simple question about human male physiology would lead us to the love of our lives? Vera mused, her silver eyes twinkling with amusement. I certainly didn't, Nixia admitted, her emerald eyes soft with affection as she gazed at Rick's handsome face. But I'm so grateful that it did. I can't imagine my life without you now, my love. Neither can I, Rick murmured, his voice thick with emotion as he pulled them both closer. You've given me a gift beyond measure, a love that I never knew was possible, and I promise to cherish and adore you both for as long as I live. As they drifted off to sleep, their bodies entwined and their hearts full, Vera and Nixia knew that they had found something truly special in the arms of their human lover. They had set out to answer a simple question, to satisfy their curiosity about the strange and fascinating world of human male physiology. But in the end, they had found something far more valuable, a love that would last a lifetime, a bond that would forever be as sweet and nourishing as the nectar that had brought them together. And so, with a final contented sigh, they surrendered themselves to the warm, comforting embrace of their human lover, secure in the knowledge that they had found their true home in the stars and in each other's hearts.